Good afternoon, good morning, wherever you're coming from, wherever you're attending us today, welcome. Again, we have one more webinar from Telerik India or Progress India now. This is a series of webinars that we do pretty much every month, every Thursday, 12 p.m. to 1 p.m. India Standard Time, and we try to take care of generic developer technology related topics, or sometimes we do talk about our own goodness that we have. Like we have a lot of portfolio. So under the Progress software, so we tend to talk everything which relates to developer. That's the main goal of these webinars. We want to give you the latest and greatest in the developer world. So in continuation of this journey, we will be talking about one of my favorite topics today, Kendo UI Wrappers in ASP.NET MVC Core 1.0. So this webinar is all about understanding how to use our most popular HTML5 based product, what we call as ASP.NET Kendo UI. How do you use that in ASP.NET MVC Core? So ASP.NET MVC Core is the new framework or runtime or whatever you can call it on ASP.NET or on the .NET framework, which is very lean, mean, cloud-based or cloud-oriented, which is very good if you're going towards the cloud. So you can go towards this particular framework. So let's get started. So this is me. If you have been a regular to these webinars, by now you would have kind of be accustomed to my voice and then my face. So that's how I look. That's me, Lohit GN. I work as a technical evangelist with Telerik in India, or Progress in India. And I'm also a Microsoft MVP, or Most Valuable Professional, in Visual Studio .NET and Development Technologies. Some of my coordinates are, I'm available on Twitter with the handle Kashyapa, so that's my Twitter handle. Kashyapas.com is my personal blog where I mostly write on ASP.NET. TelerikHelper.net is a website where we normally write on Telerik related stuff, how to do things with Telerik softwares. TelerikHelper.net also is the site where we will be putting up a video recording of this particular webinar. And Telerik.com and Progress.com are our global websites where you can go and then know more about our portfolio, what all softwares that we have, and then we have a bunch of them, huge portfolio. So you should go here and then take a look at that. So today's agenda, well, it's going to be very simple agenda. I don't want to take too many things today. I'm going to briefly touch upon ASP.NET Core 1.0 RC2, or just to explain you what exactly is this ASP.NET Core 1.0. As I said in the past, like a couple of webinars ago, we did a what is ASP.NET Core for developers. That's the webinar you may want to go through if you have never heard about what is ASP.NET Core, what this new thing is all about, how do you use it, what are the benefits. So you may want to check that past webinar of mine. Then I'm going to just briefly talk about Kendo UI. Then is the actual thing about today's webinar, that is using Kendo UI in the ASP.NET Core. We'll also take a look at the new, one of my favorite features in ASP.NET Core called as tag helpers. And we here in Progress, we also have supported tag helper way of using Kendo UI. So no more, you can use HTML helper way, as well as the new tag helpers are super awesome. You should take a look at how to use these tag helpers. So let's quickly take a look at what this new thing is all about. What is ASP.NET Core, right? So if you have been following Microsoft from last one and a half years, most probably you know what I'm talking about. But if you have never followed what Microsoft is doing, well, this is what the new .NET landscape or the new .NET framework looks like, right? There's a full-fledged .NET framework, the latest version being 4.6.1, and it's the full .NET framework for any scenario and library, and library support on Windows. Meaning, if you're a Windows guy, you want to run only on Windows, yeah, this is what you need. You need the full framework, the .NET framework 4.6, right? Now, what Microsoft did was it created another version of the framework called as .NET Core 1.0. So what is the speciality of this? Well, it is still modular. It contains the same libraries, almost the same libraries, but the runtime is optimized for server and cloud workloads, meaning I want to host a web application on Azure or on AWS, on whatever, So yeah, so now this particular .NET Core framework is little optimized, or not little, it's more optimized than your compatriot, which is the .NET Framework 4.6, and this is suited for cloud workloads, meaning I want to put it on the cloud, and in the cloud, scaling happens like anything. So in those scenarios is where you will use .NET Core. And not only that, for the first time, I've been programming with .NET or ASP.NET for the last 15 years, and I've never dreamt about this. And Microsoft did something which we all were, raised our eyebrows, and that is you can now run ASP.NET on a Linux server. Yeah, if you are not paying attention, I did say that you can now run ASP.NET on Linux or Macintosh or Windows. Of course, it will run on Windows, but the beauty of .NET Core is now, you do not need Windows only system to host your ASP.NET web application. You can pick up a Linux based servers. You can install it on Macintosh or Mac OS or OS X as they call it, and it's going to run. So now you have a new framework called as .NET Core 1.0. There is a new CLR called as Core CLR, and then on top of that we have a new framework called as ASP.NET Core. Now ASP.NET Core is suited for this cross-platform installation scenario, but it can also run on .NET full framework, that is .NET Framework 4.6. And in ASP.NET Core, the MVC and Web API have been merged together. There's no separate boxes, as you can see on the left-hand side. Even today, when you go to .NET Framework 4.6, that's the full framework, and you want to create web forms or MVC or Web API, those are three different things. Under the hood. So for you, it's just a simple solution file. You just go to Visual Studio, and then you just say, hey, create a new ASP.NET web application. I need MVC support, I need Web API support. But what you don't know is, under the hood, MVC is 5.x, Web API is 2.2, and these two are coming from two different DLLs. And although they have the similar semantics, meaning MVC supports route, Web API supports route, MVC supports actions, Web API support actions, MVC supports filters, Web API supports filters, but they're coming from two different assemblies. They're not together, But for you as a developer, you don't get to see the difference. It's just Visual Studio. The tooling is so great that it makes you believe like, oh yeah, everything is ASP.NET. Well, it is, but under the hood, there are two different namespaces, two different DLLs. But now with ASP.NET Core, this is one of the facts that I love. No more differentiation between an MVC route or a Web API route or a MVC controller or a Web API controller. There's only one controller. If you put a route on top of that, that becomes a Web API. That's it, simple. And currently, the language that is supported on ASP.NET Core is C#. And of course, Visual Basic is anyway supported on the full framework. Slowly going forward, we will get Visual Basic also onto the ASP.NET Core. Currently, it's MVC and Web API. No SignalR, no web pages, so Microsoft is working towards that. I hope everybody got the gist of where we are with ASP.NET Core 1.0. Currently, the latest version of ASP.NET Core is ASP.NET Core 1.0 RC2, or Release Candidate 2, and ASP.NET Core will be going live, or RTM as we call it, ready to market, most probably by June. The RC2 was just released like a week ago. So whatever I'm doing, there are certain things that are coming fresh out of the oven from our side, that is from progress. So we'll see how it goes. So this is about ASP.NET Core. I hope everybody got a gist of where we are in terms of the ASP.NET. Now, let's spend a couple of minutes on Kendo UI. If you're not familiar with Kendo UI, you should pretty much take a look at our this particular product called as Kendo UI, the most complete UI framework to speed up your HTML5 and JS development. You can build rich, smart HTML5 and JavaScript apps for any platform, any browser, or any device. Why? Because Kendo UI is three things. It provides web widgets, it provides data visualization widgets, it provides mobile framework also. It's a hybrid mobile framework. You can create a mobile web page, or you can create a hybrid mobile app using Kendo UI. And all you need is this one package. It has MVVM, it has validation, it has globalization, you name it. We have bundled everything along with this one package. This is one package that you need for your web application. You do not need anything else. You get everything out of this box. So just to give you a simple, maybe an example. So if you go to our demos.telerik.com/Kendo UI, let's take a simple example of maybe a, what should I pick? Maybe I'm going to pick date picker, the most simplest I consider. So the concept of date picker is very simple. So you have this particular just give me a second. Yeah, there you go. So with the date picker, I mean, the concept of date picker is very simple. I want my end user to select a date, right? So you have a box, you have an icon, you click on it, you get this nice looking calendar, right? So, and you can see here, I can select a month or date, anything. So how do you use that, right? All you need is Kendo UI, and Kendo UI depends on, let me try to zoom in. So Kendo UI depends on two things. Two things. One is the style sheet. So here is what I've set up. I've set up my style sheet, and here is my JavaScript. So we depend on jQuery. That's the only dependency that we have. So we didn't want to reinvent anything. So jQuery has been popular, and then is still popular when it comes to what you do on the DOM. So we made sure that we don't reinvent any wheel, and we depend on jQuery, and then I have included Kendo. Now let me show you how you convert this simple looking input type is equal to text box, or you can call it as type is equal to date with HTML5 things. So all I have said is input ID date picker, value is 10, 10, 20, 11, style is width 100%. Now how do you convert this into date picker? Well, all it takes is this one line of code. Datepicker.kendo datepicker. Well, this is how most of our Kendo UI widgets work. All you need to do is grab the HTML element from the DOM and then say .kendo whatever control, .kendo grid, .kendo scheduler, Kendo button, you name it. You can create everything using this syntax. And notice here, you do not have to relearn something new, because this syntax is pretty much what you will do with jQuery plugins, right? This is how you use a jQuery plugin. So if you know how to work with jQuery plugins, you already know how to use Kendo. So the ramping up or the learning curve is very, very minimal, and you will be able to up and go with no friction at all. So this is a brief about Kendo UI, and then of course, as you saw, so let me just let me go back to our demos page. So as you can see here, Kendo UI comes packed with 70 plus controls for your needs. You name a need in your project, we have you covered. So there's data management, there's editors, there's charts, gauges, barcodes, diagrams, you name it. So everything is available in our Kendo UI bouquet. And on the right hand side, there are certain sample examples that you can see. This is my favorite Telerik Northwind dashboard. So this basically what we have done is we at the back end we have written service connecting to our Northwind database, the famous Northwind database, but the front end is completely Kendo UI, and then we have used our data visualization, I've used our grids, everything. So this is showcasing our Kendo UI map, which is a shape-based mapping. So now when I click on Canada, so you can see that the whole screen changed. Of course, it's all happening through Ajax. And our Kendo UI knows how to communicate with the backend, get the data, all those stuff. So you just tell me where is the URL, and I can click on Europe. So okay, Russia, there's nothing. Maybe in the Kazakhstan, no, nothing. So China, nothing. So yeah, the Northwind data has only like USA, and then maybe Latin America, yeah, the Mexico, Greenland, 0. Yeah, so you get the idea. So I make a click on a particular country, and then I'm able to see the data. That's because under the hood, what we are doing is we are making a call to all the service that we have written and then getting data. This is about the data visualization. Now coming to the grid itself, as you can see here, this is like I'm looking at all the orders that are there in my system, and each order I can actually see what product that was shopped on that order, and then what is the shipping details for that particular things, and I can actually go randomly and then take a look at. So this is our Kendo UI grid, and notice here how neatly you can do all this stuff. This is like a nested grid. So one row has a nesting of tab strip, the tab strip contains another grid, and the grid inside has a row detail template. As you can see here, I can create a uh, data visualization, get the image, you name it. So you can take a look at this at your leisure time, and then see how neatly you can do this, all these things using Kendo UI. And here's another interesting view that I have, and I love this view because we are showcasing a lot of stuff here. So on the left hand side, this is our Kendo UI list view. You click on it. On the right hand side, notice what is happening. The data keeps changing. Here is our data visualization. This is called as a spark line. That's very popular in Excel, but we have it here in the HTML5 also. So this is our bar graph, and here is a scheduler. This is like this is a scheduler. It is showcasing kind of a month, and then telling you on what date an order was made, or what product was ordered on what date, kind of stuff. So you get the idea. So this is what you can build with Kendo UI. Fantastic product. I love it. I've been working on it from last 4 to 5 years, and then it's so easy to get started, do all these neat little things, all those things. So that's Kendo UI for you. So let me see if there's any questions so far. Okay, no questions. And it's available for free trial. If you want to give it a try, I encourage you to go download the free trial. Just go to telerik.com and telerik.com/kendo-ui. So, or otherwise you can go to telerik.com, then click on products, and here is the Kendo UI. So go ahead, download, play around, and then let us know what you feel. Next up, can we use Kendo UI on VS 2015? Absolutely. So that's a good question. So let me just take a moment to explain that. So Kendo UI does not depend on your editors at all. Remember, let me go back to the demo. Where's my demo? Yeah, okay, let me pick up the date picker demo. So let me just give you a brief overview, like what is happening. So Kendo depends on only two things. One is it's JavaScript, sorry, the style sheet, and another one is JavaScript. So when you say, can I use it in VS 2015? Well, what is Visual Studio 2015? It's just an editor. So you keep all these files within your web application, and in a particular web page, you just reference that particular style sheet, reference that particular jQuery, and then you start writing this JavaScript-based code. But this is JavaScript, right? So today's whole focus is, okay, I don't want to do this, man. I'm in ASP.NET MVC. So I'm not a JavaScript developer. In ASP.NET MVC, we have something cool things called as HTML helpers or tag helpers that I'm going to showcase it to you. So that is what I'm going to be showing further. But yes, if you're coming from any editor, any technology, Kendo UI is not server-side. Kendo UI is completely client-side. It's an HTML5 based UI framework, so you can work with any backend. How it look like in device view? Not sure what you mean by that. Well, it's going to look exactly the same. So if you open this in a tablet, you're going to see the same thing, because that's what we do in Kendo. We are using the Kendo grid, and when we send, is this same as Bootstrap? What is the advantage of using Kendo instead of Bootstrap? Oh, we are much more than Bootstrap. Bootstrap is just a style sheet, right? So I am talking about 70 controls that we have. For example, Bootstrap does not have anything called as a grid. All they have is a style sheet for a table. So the way I see Bootstrap is a responsive style sheet, meaning you can use Bootstrap to create responsive layouts only. It does not have widgets. All it does is it takes a table, styles it to look like maybe a grid. That's it. That is all it can do. But we are true widget or true controls. As you can see later, I will start showcasing the demo. Will nested grid work in MVC4? Absolutely. There is no dependency on whether our Kendo UI will work in MVC4 or 3 or 2. They will work there. But MVC core, it's a little different how you use Kendo UI. So that's what today's whole webinar is all about. Which one is easier to use, Kendo UI for ASP.NET MVC or Kendo UI wrappers with MVC5? Not sure. Kendo UI for ASP.NET MVC is the wrapper. So there are two ways of using Kendo UI. One is a JavaScript way that I showcased you here. Another one is what we're going to be taking a look now. It's called as the wrappers for ASP.NET MVC or Kendo UI wrappers for ASP.NET MVC. The difference being you need to write JavaScript when you go the JavaScript way. When you go the ASP.NET MVC way, we will give you HTML helpers, and then now with ASP.NET Core, we will give you tag helpers. Tag helpers are super sexy, so just wait for that. There's a good question now in the Q&A panel. I've been using Kendo UI with Razor Engine and found that modifying the element style is little difficult. Is there any new helpers that help to overcome that? That's exactly why Microsoft came out with this concept called as tag helpers. So HTML helpers are great. It's nothing, I don't hate HTML helpers, but the thing is, when you start mixing C# and then HTML, oh man, it turns to a lot of spaghetti code. Like, for example, if you are creating a label, right, you will say @HTML.label. Now I need to give it a different style sheet, especially if you're working with Bootstrap. Bootstrap, they have their own style sheets, right? So how do you give that particular custom style to your now label, right? So you need to do @new class, @class is equal to, I don't know, I don't want to go there now. So it's a lot of kind of spaghetti code that happens there. I'm going to showcase you all those stuff. So now let me jump into the next one, which is where's my presentation? Yeah, here it is. So the next thing is we'll start looking at how to use Kendo UI in ASP.NET Core. Okay, so I'm going to first start with creating an ASP.NET Core application, and I'll start showcasing you how you can use ASP.NET Core, Kendo UI inside ASP.NET Core. So let's get started. I'm going to open up my Visual Studio. So I'm using Visual Studio 2015 Enterprise, but you can use any edition of Visual Studio for this. Currently, ASP.NET Core 1.0 is RC2. So our support for Kendo UI is also a little behind, meaning Microsoft has been doing a lot of changes for this ASP.NET Core, so it was little kind of a tough for us to be in sync with them. So the official support as of now with our release is RC1. We still haven't released the RC2 support from the Kendo UI, but what I will show you is I have the engineering bits or engineering build that we call it, which my team is currently working on to support RC2. So I'm going to be running those bits live on my Visual Studio. So that means it is still not available for general public, but for this webinar, I just got those bits and then started working on using that. So if you want to use today using not doing whatever I'm doing, the only way is you need to be on RC1 because our current official support is RC1. And so you need to have ASP.NET Core RC1, and then you can use our instructions on the web and then start doing it. But today what I'm going to be doing is I'm using our RC2 bits. Once we release RC2 for the general public, it's going to be much more simpler, easier. All you need to do is go to the NuGet and then say like, hey, get me Kendo.MVC, and then you will be able to get the Kendo wrappers for ASP.NET Core. Okay, so that's the only difference now at this point of time. It's basically having I have to use the engineering bits that I have on my mission. Plus another thing that I've done is I've already downloaded our Kendo UI. So let me show you that. So on my machine currently I have UI for ASP.NET MVC release 2 2016. That's our second release of 2016, and I will be using basically the JavaScript and then HTML from here. Sorry, the style sheet and then JavaScript I'm going to be using from here. So I'm going to go ahead and then say like, new project. So the moment you have ASP.NET Core installed, you will now start seeing a new, let me try to get my zoom it. I always forget to get this guy running. Yeah, so now what you will see is you will see a new, things coming up. Even in the installed template, you will start seeing something called as .NET Core. The web is the full framework, the .NET 4.6. Now what you're seeing here is something called as .NET Core, and then for the .NET Core you get class library, you get console application, you get ASP.NET Core web app. So I'm selecting ASP.NET Core web app, and I will say Core app webinar demo, and I've selected ASP.NET Core web application. So I'm going to say OK. So now it's asking me, hey, what do you want to do? Do you want an empty? Do you want a web API? Do you want a web application? So I'm going to, for the sake of the demo, I'm going to say, hey, I need a web application. So now what it's going to do is it's going to use ASP.NET Core MVC 1.0 RC2. Yeah, I know it's a very lengthy name, but that's how it is. ASP.NET Core 1.0 is what we have, but it's at RC2. But once it becomes RTM, we will be able to reference it as ASP.NET Core 1.0. That's all you will say. And as you can see, we have the nice welcome page here. And if I go to my Solution Explorer, you will see a lot of new things here. So there is no project file here. First of all, there is a project.json, and in the project.json you will start seeing that there is Microsoft.NET Core.app. So that's the ASP.NET Core things. So if you can see here, Microsoft ASP.NET Core MVC 1.0.0 RC2 final. So this is what the RC2 bits as we call it. And of course these are the dependencies that what you're seeing here now. And frameworks, it is supporting .NET Core App 1.0. And how do I publish it? So basically, how do I run it? Well, it's just a command line called as .NET, and then it just runs the this one. So let me run this now. And yeah, notice here no other things. That is no project file, nothing. And then there's something new folder called as www root. So the concept here is any static file needs to go inside this www root folder. So your style sheets, your images, your JavaScripts, or any other static files that you have needs to be kept inside www root. I mean, if your the MVC things are still intact, the controllers are there, the model, the view folders, shared folder, view imports, yeah, everything is same. There's nothing that changes in the ASP.NET MVC way of working things. Now your whole web application is actually a console app. That's the difference that you're going to first see. You see public class program, and there's a public static void main, and then we have something called as web host builder. So this is the guy who builds the whole stuff, or gets your thing started up. All he's doing is here's the content root, and here's the startup class, and then build that. So if you look at the startup class, in the startup class we set up all our services. So if you see here, there's a configure services. So this is the best part that I like about ASP.NET Core. Out of the box, Microsoft will not add any services. You will need to come in and say, hey, yeah, I need to use entity framework, I need to use identity, I need to use MVC. That's it. So now everything is in your control. You tell the framework what bits you need or what flavors you need. You need MVC, yeah, you got to come in and then say services.add MVC, and then you configure it. So how do you configure it? You will say, hey, by the way, I already have I told you to bring in MVC. So how do you use MVC? Well, set up this default route like this. Yeah, that's how it is. And then the configure services just says that okay, I may need this particular service, so add that into the container. Okay, let it be there in the container, and then you have to say, yeah, I want to use that particular thing, which is in this case in the configure services I said add MVC. That means now the MVC is added to the container, and then I come in and say use MVC. The moment I say use MVC, now my whole application is now an MVC application. Similarly, use identity. So I need the identity, I have to say that. Okay, now having said that, so let me run it. So you're going to see as I said, there's nothing changes for you as an MVC developer. These are some of the hosting things that have been modified, but when it comes to the controller, model, and view, it's the same thing. You will be seeing the same web application coming up now. There we go. So we have, so let me close other tabs. So it's now running under my port 2742. Let's give it a couple of seconds. Yeah, there we go. So this is the application that you get. I mean, this is this classic web app that we all know, right? There is home, there is about, there is contact. It's the same thing. There's nothing that has changed, right? The only thing is now it is using an ASP.NET Core framework. It's running on a .NET Core. It can be hosted on Linux. It can be hosted on OS X. It can be hosted on Windows. So that's what this is all about. Now, how do we start using Kendo UI inside ASP.NET Core? Because remember, in MVC 4 and all, so let me show you that. If you were on ASP.NET, let's say 5, right? So we had our own project templates, which was very much easier to go ahead and then start creating it. So if you are coming from ASP.NET 5, all you need to do is download our UI for ASP.NET MVC. When you install it, we go ahead and then put a project template in Visual Studio. So let me give me some time. So my Visual Studio is taking a little bit time. Okay, now what I can do is if I'm coming from ASP.NET 5, right? So we already had a project template. So let me go ahead and then select where is our Telerik. So if you see here, I have Telerik and then I have web, and then I can come in here and then say like, Telerik C#, ASP.NET or Kendo UI, ASP.NET MVC 5. So the only difference between Kendo UI, ASP.NET MVC 5 and Telerik C#, ASP.NET MVC is Kendo UI, ASP.NET MVC 5 is JavaScript way of using Kendo. Telerik C#, ASP.NET MVC application is using HTML wrappers. So let me select this guy, then this is not in the core. So I will say Telerik and Telerik MVC app 1.1. So now what you're going to see is so this is what you get. This is the experience that we gave when you are in pre-ASP.NET Core. We will ask you, hey, you have Kendo UI 2016.2. What do you want us to do? So I'm saying choose a project type. I will say grid and menu. And ASP.NET MVC 5. View engine is Razor. Theme, let's keep it material. Add the test project now for this. So I'm going to say finish. So now I'm actually building ASP.NET MVC 5 application using Kendo UI. Somebody was asking, can I use it in pre-ASP.NET Core? Yeah, by all means. So that's what we give you depending on whichever project that you want to work on, right? So in a moment, I will now, I've already created ASP.NET Core web application. We will see how to use Kendo UI there. So let me show how this works in pre-ASP.NET Core, that is ASP.NET 5, MVC 5 by the way. So what it is doing is it's spinning up my project. So let me see if there are any questions so far. My mission is running too many things, so what we are seeing here is Visual Studio is taking a little bit of extra time to create the project. Okay, it's taking too much time to create the project. Basically, I'm able, I don't know if you guys are seeing this, but I'm looking at the status bar of Visual Studio. It's going, how much RAM we need for Kendo MVC project? Well, it's not the RAM thing. It's all about, I have a lot of things running on my machine. So it's just Visual Studio is kind of blocked by some other process or something. So it's going a little bit slow. But otherwise, this is just a ASP.NET web application. There's nothing RAM or anything that you need for Kendo MVCs. So it's just my mission, don't worry. So I have all the Telerik products, all the Progress products that you can think of on my machine. So I'm little bit running low on a memory because there are a lot of services in the background. So that's why Visual Studio is not getting too many process. Kendo UI will support for responsive use. Yes, out of the box. So we have 70 plus controls in Kendo UI, and then all the controls are responsive out of the box. But Kendo UI does not have a layout control. We do not have anything, for layouting. So why? Because Bootstrap was already popular. People started using Bootstrap for layouting stuff to be responsive, right? So what we said was basically you use Bootstrap to lay out your pages, but inside the page, when you need a grid, when you need a scheduler, when you need a tab strip, when you need a data visualization, yeah, you can use Kendo UI widgets, and then Kendo UI widgets are out of the box responsive. So if you resize your screens, our controls will automatically resize depending on whatever screen you are on. So now I have the project created. This is the ASP.MVC file. So let me show you how you use Kendo UI here. So what it does is in the content folder, it creates a Kendo 2016, and notice here. So it has gone ahead, and then in my system I already had installed UI for ASP.MVC. That's our Kendo UI Wrappers. So it brings in all the project templates, automatically brings in the Kendo style sheets, all the JavaScript, everything. If you see here, this is in content, and in the scripts folder it brings in Kendo and then JavaScript files for the Kendo, right? Not only that, we have, if you go and look at the resource references, we have kendo.mvc.dll. This is the one which helps you to create HTML wrappers for Kendo. So let me show you one of the examples. So let's go into our view index.html, and here it is. So this is how you use Kendo in HTML helper way. That is @html.kendo. Notice here, this is what somebody was talking about. Whenever I have to style it, oh well, this is a nightmare. Well, the HTML helpers are this way only, so there's no other way you can use it. So this is how you use Kendo in a ASP.NET 3.4.5. We support 3.4.5, and now of course ASP.NET Core will be supported. This is the Kendo things, and then this is how you create a grid, right? So you have HTML Kendo grid. This is working out of this view model. The name is so and so. The columns are like this. The pageable, sortable, scrollable, blah blah blah. So the same stuff, right? So this is how you use in ASP.NET 5, and all it takes in ASP.NET 5 is reference this kendo.mvc.dll, and then copy the style sheet into content folder, copy the JavaScript into the JS folder. That is how it used to work in ASP.NET 5. Well, let me tell you this, in ASP.NET Core, there is no way you can reference a DLL. Okay, so that's another change that Microsoft is bringing in. Basically, you cannot reference a DLL. So let's come back to the ASP.NET Core web application. Let me show you what happens here. So basically, if you see here, that it just says .NET Core app. That's all. There's nothing else. So if I have to bring in, and if I expand this guy, notice here the icon that you see here. This is not an icon of a class library. This is an icon of a NuGet package. So now everything in ASP.NET Core is a NuGet package. Notice all the core things are a NuGet package. Microsoft.NET Core.app, Microsoft.ASP.NET Core.MVC, ASP.NET Core.Razor, ASP.NET Core.Static files. Everything is a NuGet package. So now what I need to do is, there are a couple of ways in which you can now use Kendo UI. So let me tell you or show you one other thing. So if you go to our docs.telerik.com and go to Kendo UI, and we have a section for UI for ASP.NET MVC, and then we have a section for if you see here, use with ASP.NET Core MVC, and we have the complete instruction as to how to get started. What is the overview, like, how do you get started? If you see here on Linux, what you will need to do to run our sample web application. We have pretty much put up everything, how to getting started with MVC in ASP.NET Core MVC project. So This is typically what I'm going to be doing now. That is, you just need to set up a Telerik NuGet private feed, and to set this up, we have the instruction here. You will need a user ID and password on our private feed, and the Kendo UI Wrappers for ASP.NET Core is currently on our private feed. And yeah, it's not open source. It's a enterprise product. It's a licensed product. But since it is still in RC2, you are free to go sign up yourself for telerik.com, create an account, and then get into this private feed, download the Kendo UI Wrappers for ASP.NET Core, and then play around with it. The moment ASP.NET Core becomes RTM, we will also be becoming an RTM, meaning you will need a license. You cannot go production with RC2. The RC2 currently, you can play around, take a look at it, how is it, how do you use it, all those things, but you cannot go production on this particular thing now. So that is what I have already done. I've already set up our Telerik NuGet feed and all this stuff. Now, our official release of Kendo UI Wrappers for ASP.NET Core is supporting RC1. But what Microsoft did was last week, that is just a week ago, Microsoft released ASP.NET Core RC2. Remember, I told my engineering team is still working on full supporting RC2. So currently what I've done is I've already got our RC2 bits. So let me show you that. Telerik, and here is our RC2 bits. So this is the project, or this is the source code of Kendo UI wrappers for ASP.NET Core RC2. So here is another interesting thing about ASP.NET Core application. If you have any projects, that projects can be automatically referenced as a NuGet package, and then Microsoft, the Visual Studio will automatically package it for you as a NuGet package, right? So what we have done is we have done the similar. So what I'm going to now do is I'm going to include this kendo.mvc into my ASP.NET Core RC2 web application. When we officially release it as a NuGet feed, you don't have to do what I'm doing now. You can always go back and then say like, hey, let me set up the Telerik NuGet feed, and you can just say kendo.mvc and you will get it as a product dependencies, right? Now, in order to make this work, so what I need to do is I need to right click on my solution and I say add existing project, and I'm going to bring in my source code. So here is the xproj as we call it, and notice here in my solution explorer, now I have kendo.mvc, the source code, which is now supporting RC2. This is a work in progress from my engineering team. So since we had the webinar set up, so I said, okay, whatever we have, let me take it and then show it. So now I'm running, as they call it, fresh out of the oven, right? If something breaks, keep in mind it is a work in progress. So what I've done is I've included the kendo.mvc, but this is not the way you will do it when we officially ship it. It will be available as a NuGet package, and then you should be able to just go to project.json and then add that particular dependency. Now, in order to make sure this works, I need to go to project.json, and here I need to tell the project that I am depending on Kendo MVC. So I just have to say kendo.mvc, and then I will say 1.0.0 hyphen star. So that means, hey, I need something which is available within the project, right? So this is the way you use in ASP.NET Core. If you see here, I have the kendo.mvc. It has been set up for a version 1.0.0, and then I said, okay, I don't worry about the build number. Just get me the 1.0.0. So the 1.0.0 is not available in our NuGet feed. So what the way the Visual Studio works in the ASP.NET Core is he's going to look for something of this version number within the project also. So, and he finds that, oh, there is a project called as kendo.mvc and its version is 1.0.0. Most probably when we release kendo.mvc official support for ASP.NET Core RTM, it's gonna be known as 2016.2 dot something, or whatever version number. So that's what you will start seeing it. I'm not sure, I need to still check with my engineering team, but that's, you get the idea. So now I have the kendo.mvc inside my ASP.NET Core project. And remember I talked about we need the style sheets, and then we need those JavaScript files. So what I'm going to do is, in the lib folder, let me zoom in. In the lib folder, I'm going to say add new folder, and I will say Kendo, and then I will say, now I need to bring in my JavaScript files and then my style sheet file. So I'm going to go back to Kendo, my UI for ASP.MVC Q2. I'll copy my JS file, I'll copy my styles folder, sorry, the JS folder and then styles folder, copy this, come back here to my projects, and then in the lib Kendo, I'm going to go paste it. So we are now getting the JavaScript and then style sheet. Remember I told Kendo UI is nothing but a client-side HTML5 based JavaScript framework. So that means it needs the JS files, it needs the style sheet files. But what we allow you to do on the server side is, instead of you writing a JavaScript by hand, you can use our HTML helpers, or you can now use tag helpers in ASP.NET Core. So we are already at 10 more minutes to the complete hour. So let me see if I can speed this up. Okay, my Visual Studio has gone into a hung state. Let me see if there's any questions by that time. Kendo UI Mobile, it used to display template and styles depending on the platform you are in. Example, if I run it on iOS or Android, it uses to display all the UI look native. Is it still there? Absolutely. That's what the Kendo UI Mobile speciality is. Although I would suggest you to take a look at our new theme called as Nova. It's very professional looking theme. But yeah, if you want the native look and feel in a hybrid mobile app, yeah, Kendo out of the box does that for you. Do Kendo UI support for Angular 2? If yes, can you send me the URL for those? If no, when is the Kendo planning to release it? Well, we are just closely looking at what Google is doing. Keep in mind that Angular 2 is still in beta phase. So until unless Google goes live, we cannot go live. So our support for Angular 2 is still a beta phase, whatever beta they are in. So we are still there. I don't know if they have moved to RC, that is release candidate, but the moment they go live, we will be also be going live. Our support for Angular 2 at this moment of time is experimental, because Angular 2 is still a beta and an experimental. So the moment they go live, we go live. Okay, now what I've done is I've copied all the JS and style sheet. Let's go to first thing that we need to do is we need to go to view imports. And in the view imports, what you need to do is you need to include using statement called kendo.mvc.ui. Okay, I know what I had to do. So before that, remember, we are now added kendo.mvc, right? So we need to go and then say in the startup.cs services.add kendo. Okay, come on. Oh, we need to say startup. Oh yeah, I missed. Let me restore this. Yeah, see error list. So there is an error. It couldn't. Is not a valid version. Oh yeah, I made a mistake here. So it is 1.0.0 hyphen start. So now the moment I do a save, it is doing a package restore, and we will see. So I don't know if you're able to see this, but the solution, in the solution, the references is showing restoring. That means it's restoring all my. Yeah, so now I've completely restored. Notice here I get kendo.mvc 1.0.0. So now I have the MVC support, Kendo support. So now I can say services.add Kendo. There we go. So I got the Kendo. Now I can go to view imports and then I can say @using kendo.mvc.ui. What happened? My Visual Studio went into not responding. Okay, there we go. So we got UI, and of course there are tag helpers also. So what I will do is I'm going to copy this and then say star kendo.mvc.tag helpers also. We'll see that. So now what we did was we just used the view imports to say that every page will now get this namespace called as kendo.mvc.ui. Now I'm going to go into shared and layout. Now I need to bring in all the JavaScript and then style sheet. So what I'm going to do is I will say link relation is equal to style sheet, href is ~lib/kendo/styles, and I will say kendo dot common dot bootstrap dot min.css, because this particular website is built, the template from Microsoft uses Bootstrap, so let's use that. So and then we need to include kendo.bootstrap.min.css, and let's not worry about staging and production for now, but of course you will need to keep this. So I'm working on this development mode now. So this is another thing. So this is a tag helper that Microsoft has written out of the box. It's called as environment tag helper. So what it does is it looks for a command, it looks for an environmental variable called ASP.NET Core underscore development, environment, and if the string matches development, it will output this particular following lines. If you are in a staging and production, it is going to output this particular line. So currently I'm on my desktop machine, so I'm going to use this. I'm not going to worry about staging or a production. Then we need to come back to the JavaScript and we need to say lib kendo js, then kendo.all.pin.js, and then also I need kendo.ASP.NET MVC.min.js. That's all I need to do. Now let's build it and then see if everything is fine. So it's compiling and then it's now going to bring up the website. Okay, hang on, I'll come back to this later. So everything is the same, now I've included Kendo, but we are not done anything with Kendo. So let's go back to maybe the home index. What I'm gonna do is, what was it getting? It was getting all the carousel, everything. So I'm gonna just remove the carousel part of the things. Yeah, I don't want this guy. I'm gonna remove everything and then keep this as MD12, and I'm gonna remove everything. Right, so now I have this one. So let's say hello world, just to make sure we're getting it. So we come back here and then refresh. Yeah, there we go. We have the hello world coming up. So maybe I should have pumped up a little bit. That's fine. So I'm gonna just do a break here so that, yeah, so the hello world is coming. Now how do you use Kendo UI, right? Well, you can always use this way. That is the HTML dot Kendo dot, remember I was working on date picker. So let's say date picker, and I will say name is equal to maybe k date picker, right? Now if I refresh the page, you will see a date picker coming up. Something went wrong, so let me see. Console, just refresh this guy. somewhere I've messed up the JavaScript R thing, so let me quickly see the view source. It's getting lib kendo styles, kendo common bootstrap min, kendo bootstrap min, and then whatever oh yeah, I know what I need to do. And then whatever the JavaScript, I have all the JavaScript, yes, okay. So here's another trick. So what this does is it looks like it's putting up all the, so I'm going to do a deferred, meaning I don't want you to create, so the way Kendo UI MVC wrapper work is the moment you write this line, we generate the JavaScript for that and then it just runs, but the jQuery is still not yet loaded. So what I can do is I have a section called as scripts, and here I'm going to say HTML dot kendo dot deferred script. So now we should be good to go. And there we go. So what did I do? I did a date time picker. Okay, so there you go. So this is the date and this is the time, right? At this moment, the tag, so there are two ways of using these things, right? So I can come in here and then I can do some more stuff like @HTML.kendo.button, and I can say in dot name is equal to k button 1, and again deferred, right? And then I can do here, now you will see a button coming up next to the okay, I did not do it dot cont content, so I can say hello world. So this is the normal way of working with Kendo. That is, this is what we give you as part of MVC 4, 3, 4, and 5 also. This is known as HTML helper, right? So you do this and then we'll be able to write the button for you, or we'll be able to write this one. Now, if you had to do, you know, something on this guy, so it used to be like I can do a, not the deferred, so let's say HTML attribute. So now here you will have to do like, you know, new blah blah blah, all the lambda is what you will need to write. So that is what is getting uglier, right? So now let me show you other way. So I like it like this. So this is one way. So all these 70 controls that I showed you here, so let me show you the demo. Where was the demo? Yeah, here it is. So all these 70 controls that you are seeing here, oh, we are in the documentation, sorry. So all the 70 controls that you're seeing in this page can be used using this HTML helper way, right? Well, I don't know how you guys think, but this is fine only up to a certain extent. That the moment you start to add customization, like for example, now I'm trying to figure out how can I say my custom HTML attribute. I have no clue, right? For example, maybe this is like attrib and then attrib dot, I don't know, right? So you get the point. It tends to become kind of ugly. It tends to become a lot of things that you start adding on it. So what we have done is we have started giving out another, our ASP.NET Core has this fantastic concept called as tag helpers. So I'm not going to spend too much time on it, but if you want to know more on what tag helpers are, I suggest you go to docs.asp.net. What was that? Go to docs.asp.net. Oh, it opened up another, okay, we'll come back. So go to docs.asp.net, go to MVC, and you should see a section called as tag helpers. So if you look at this, they give you all the introduction to tag helpers. What are they? How can you do it? All those things. Now I'm gonna, I think my other Visual Studio project just closed down. So let me open up one more Visual Studio. So here, so this is another sample that we have. where I can just immediately showcase what we have done. So all you need to do is you need to open up views, and then you need to open up the views imports.cshtml. Okay, here what we have done is not here, button tag helper. Yeah, you need to just include this. Okay, this is a mistake that I did. So there's no kendo.mvc.tag helpers, but you just say kendo.mvc. What happened to my another project? Just give me a second. Yeah, I'm just opening up the project that we were doing so far. Somehow it got closed. Well, let me show you this. So this is a button tag helper that we have using the HTML helper. You remember I showcased @html.kendo.button.name.content blah blah blah. So take a look at this. With the concept of tag helpers, this is as simple as it can get. We wrote our own tag helpers for Kendo UI, and if you want to put a button, all you need to do is you just need to say Kendo-button, give it a name, give it a class. This is the by far the best thing that can happen to ASP.MVC. Remember how you would have put up a button or a label and then you had to give a CSS class? Well, it was an ugly code, right? You know, you had to say @HTML attributes, and then you will say new, create an anonymous object, and then you say @class is equal to, and then you give the CSS class name. Well, that's all gone because of the what do you call the okay, it's coming up here. So it's all gone because of the tag helpers. So this is what tag helpers can let you do. You can write your own custom tag helper, and what we did as a company is we wrote tag helpers for Kendo UI. So you can use the regular HTML helper way, or I would suggest you to start looking at the tag helper. So if you are doing something using a HTML helper, see if there's already a tag helper for that, start using it. It's much more easier to read, it's much more cleaner to look at the code, you know, everything. So now if I have to use this guy, what I can do is I can come back here and go to my view imports, and I just have to say add tag helper everything from kendo.mvc namespace. This is the syntax what Microsoft has come up with. So now I can go back to my index.html. So let me put a h1 here, and I will say HTML helper way. Right now I will put another h1, and I will say tag helper way. And mind you, as of now, at the moment when I'm writing this, we do not have full support for the tag helpers. It's not everything is available. Only a couple of things are available in the tag helpers. Not sure why I'm not getting it at the rate. Yeah, so I went to my, oh, I did not save it. Okay, the moment I save the view imports.chhtml, now if I come in here and then notice what happens, I do this. Oh, come on, give me Kendo. Let me check what is happening. Let me clean it. So let's go back once again to layout.cshtml. So we have view imports. So using kendo.mvc.ui. Then I have my add tag helper kendo.mvc. I go to my index. Do I have my view starts? Let me check my view start. Layout is _layout. Yeah, that's correct. So that's in the shared. Yeah, so this is what it's getting it. Now let me go back to my index and then see if I'm getting Kendo. Yeah, there we go. So now, okay, let me show you this. So I think it was just the Visual Studio does a lot of things behind the scenes. So it looks like it was a little bit slow. So now notice what happens now. I do a lesser than sign, Kendo, and notice what we get. Kendo hyphen. These are the tag helpers that we have at this moment. Button, date picker, date time picker, numeric text box, time picker, and then a window. So let me use a button. Notice the syntax, notice this H1, and notice this Kendo hyphen button. The H1 is in maroon color, the Kendo is in like a purplish color. That's because Visual Studio tooling has been written in such a way that the moment it identifies that there is a tag helper, it changes the color. Now all I need to do is the same thing, is give it a name. Maybe I will say kbutton2, and I can say class, and notice here I just have to say create primary, and that's it, done. So oh, we need to do one more. That's hello world from button tag helper. I know there's a, nobody writes this big button, but yeah, let's prove it a point. So now if I run this guy, what you will see is you will see two things. So which one is running? This is running. I can close this guy. We should see two things. One is the same button, or the Kendo UI button coming twice. One the HTML helper way, the other one a tag helper way. So it's up to you whichever want to use it, but my personal preference from now onwards would be to use tag helpers. I will not use maybe the HTML helpers for everything. If there is a tag helper available, I will use the tag helper. Otherwise, I will build one tag helper for myself. Maybe we'll do another webinar for the tag helpers. So there you go. So this is the normal button, and then we also get the button which is from the tag helper. So I can actually put the same date time picker also. So let's say I can do Kendo hyphen date picker. Let's do a date picker this time. So maybe name is k date picker, and I can do this. Notice here I can do a value, and since it's a server side kind of a server side control, I can do date time. Notice I get IntelliSense when I'm doing that. I'm doing a value, and then I'm now trying to create a date time dot parse. Maybe I will say like 10/10/2011 or whatever, and that's it. So now I can come back here, and then I can do this. You will still see, okay, I have a problem. Okay, that's not what I wanted to see. Looks like I messed up something, but you get the idea. So this is how you start using all the what do you call date pick, all the tag helpers that we have. At the moment we only have, let me show you this. Oh, it cannot zoom in. So as I said, we have this many, but keep an eye on our releases. In future releases, what we will do is we will cover the complete control sets, controls that we have as part of the Kendo UI, like a grid, scheduler, everything will start getting this tag helper way of using things. So that is all I had to showcase in today's webinar. Pretty much this is what I wanted to cover today, like using Kendo UI tag helpers better than HTML helpers, and then VR progress software. Let me write down my email address if you want to kind of catch hold of us later. So I'm going to say, I forgot to put up my coordinates. Well, that's all I had to kind of showcase today as part of the webinar. A brief on ASP.NET Core, a brief on Kendo UI, and then how to use Kendo UI in ASP.NET Core. It's a fantastic technology that's coming up, ASP.NET Core. We are excited to kind of be there, support the new framework. And if you're not given a try to ASP.NET Kendo UI, I encourage you to go download, start playing with it. 30-day free trial is available. And then let us know what you built. So I'm going to stop recording, and then I'll start looking at the question and answers panel. So thank you very much for everybody who attended the webinar, and we look forward to your presence in the future webinar. This webinar will be recorded, so visit www.telerikhelper.net to get the video.